Hello, hello everyone, and we are live again. Okay, so as I am. She's already on. Perfect.
Oh,
Hey!
that was the most seamless entrance that I've had in a long
Really?
while. So, how are you? And it's nice to finally meet you.
Yeah, it's so good to meet you. I'm doing pretty good. It's the rain has stopped. It is almost sunny here. You're on the East Coast, right?
Yes, I am. And so we had rain storms probably the past few days. So the 4th of July was a rather wet one. And but now thankfully the sun is back out, though the heat has returned.
Well, it could be worse. It could be snowing.
That's true. I always am enamored by when we're getting like almost 100-degree weather up north. There's still snow, and it's just it's a little strange. So where exactly do you live then in the States?
I'm in Canada. I
Oh,
live
Canada.
near Vancouver, British Columbia on the West Coast.
Oh, fun. Nice. Yeah. Okay, then
Oh.
you do deal with some of that. You are really up there. You deal with some of that stuff.
Well, I mean, I do. We do get snow, but Vancouver, I mean, the lower mainland of BC, we're kind of the oddball for Canada because we're like exempt. This time last year, we were getting 44-degree weather, which is I think 112.
Huh.
Yeah, it was my moving weekend last year. It was really awful.
That is Yeah, no, that is not the weather you want when you move, but it always seems to happen that way. It's always hot when you move. At least that's my experience.
Yeah, it's hot or it's pouring.
Yeah, that too. So what I like to do here is I'll usually, because you'll have viewers that may not know me and vice versa, I'll let you talk about your books or however you want to introduce you as a writer, and I'll do a little vice versa, and then from there we'll just talk about writing and fantasy and fiction and everything between.
Sounds good.
So,
So, my name is Amanda Muratoff, for those watching and who don't know me. I write the Pantracer Chronicles with my co author, Kayla Hansen. And we currently have 10 books published in the Pantracer Chronicles, and we are hoping to publish 3 more to finish off the main series. Hopefully by the end of this year. It depends how fast we write, but it's 10 books, but we've broken it into smaller series. So we have a trilogy, a quadrilogy, and another trilogy. And each set of books kind of has its own main characters, but it's all one storyline, one timeline. And so their paths cross and overlap and slowly start to weave together as their fates kind of entwine with each other's. And it's kind of like building the fantasy Avengers, I want to say, but
that's
with
fun.
more
I like
more
that.
romance.
And you said, wait, how many do you have out currently? You said you have 3 more. How many do you
We
have?
have 10 published currently, yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's fantastic. No, that is exciting. When did you begin? When did you start publishing them? Like how long ago? I'm trying to visualize how quickly you write these. You're saying 3 before the end of the year, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, we published the first in series, Embrace of the Shade. We released that in 2019.
Wow.
So we written and published the rest of them since then. And so book 11 is written. We're in the middle of writing book 12, and then we'll write book 13, and we're hoping to release all 3 kind of close together.
Fantastic. Oh, that's so cool. Do you have in Reach? I don't know if you have a picture of your books in Reach. If not,
Yeah,
don't
I've
worry.
got all
Yes.
right here,
Yes,
actually.
because
These are
I've been watching your videos and I
my
saw a bunch of spines and I was like, just curious.
so
That is
there's
beautiful.
book one.
Beautiful.
We have recently redesigned book one's cover. This was the original cover for book
Oh, yeah,
one.
the new one definitely is easier to see both characters, I think.
Yes, I think so. And that we were getting like it's a bit of a vampire vibe off this cover, and there's no vampires in these books, so
Yeah, okay, yes. And that's the thing is when people look for book covers, it's always good to do your research on trends
yeah.
and your genre because, yeah, I kind of failed my original cover. I don't have that in Reach, but my first book, I'll tilt over here, the blue one, Asara's Claws, the original cover looked nothing like that. I am an artist, so I was like, I'm going to paint my own. But the thing is, my style of art and what I wanted to express were two totally different things. And writing the new adult kind of bracket covers with like blood are not encouraged. So I had to totally revamp everything. And I actually love my new cover, so I'm always
Your cover is
encouraging them.
beautiful. I love your
Okay.
covers.
Well, thank you. It's not, none of them are my credit. They're all due to my cover artist. I wish I could
Oh,
take
same
credit, but
here.
I can't.
Yeah, we have a talented artist too. He's great.
I love it. I love it. Well, for anybody who doesn't know me, I'm Katharine Wibell, and I'm an author of various epic or high fantasy series. I write in different age brackets, so that makes things complicated. I range from young adult adventure portal fantasy to my new adult shifter war fantasy and adult grittier, kind of almost grimdark level Norse mythology series. So wide ranging in all the work I do. I like that, but it's hard to market, and so we will get to that later. But yeah, so let me ask you, how do you market your books? Do you just, obviously you're now here on TikTok, but what else do you do?
The two biggest things that we do right now is TikTok being one of them, but my favorite thing to do is to go to conventions and Comic Con and like Fan Expo is my favorite place to be. So I'm actually heading to Edmonton in September, and I was in Calgary in April and Vancouver, and I love traveling to these conventions and meeting readers face to face. It's so rewarding when somebody buys book one and then comes back the next day and it's like, I need all other 9 books. And I'm like, hey, I love you. So it's really fun because you get like really important FaceTime with people and with readers. And I feel like people get so much more connected with your writing when they get to meet you, and it's so fun.
And now I need to pick your brain about conventions because I'm not attending as someone who's selling books, but I was invited to go to a convention here in Georgia. It's called Dragon Con in September. And that one is because I'm supposed to be on a panel talking about TikTok authors. So I'm going to be attending as a panelist, but I've always been curious as someone who goes in and goes to sell
Yeah.
books, like, how many books do you bring? What other props do you use? Do you do banners or posters, or how do you do your, I just want to know because I want to find out, should I be trying this out or should I still be my hesitant self and be like, I don't know. Until I know someone who succeeds at it, I'm kind of like, I don't know.
I will tell you whatever you want to know. It's not as intimidating as it sounds. I know it can be really overwhelming at first, but once you start going to them, you realize like these are really cool people who attend these events, and you'll love it. So you can ask whatever you want. I see a question in the comments. How long have you been writing for? I'm not sure if that's directed at myself or at
You
you,
started.
Catherine, but
You started and all that.
I, Kayla and I actually started writing together when I was 12 years old and she was 13.
Wow.
So that's 21 years ago. So about that long.
Wow, that's so cool. No, yeah, I think that's something that I hear from a lot of authors is that they were interested in or attempted writing at a young age. Not always, but a lot more often than not. For me, I've always been a storyteller. So I would
Mm-hmm.
create characters and the backstories and worlds, and that's why I'm actually writing all those childhood characters into my young adult series right now. But to actually sit down and start writing, it was right around when I was heading into college that I kind of started taking that a little more seriously. And then it took me a while to figure things out and have the time to dedicate, so didn't really publish until 2016.
Oh, I totally understand. I didn't have time to like focus on this until I went on maternity leave.
Hey, I've heard a lot of people saying their downtime during COVID or their changeover from, working in the house kind of revolutionized the fact, and that's where a lot of authors of recent that I've been meeting have just started kickstarting their careers during that time. So you never know what's going to take to just spur that movement.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you, and then I'm going to get back to the convention thing, but let me go ask you because you were talking about, oh my God, I have so many questions. You're working with a fellow writer. How does that work? Do you have different characters, or how do you map a story together? Because I work by myself.
Well, I mean, you got really close there. That's we sit on Discord. We actually just stopped writing right before I came live here, but it's we sit on Discord, so we're talking to each other at the same time, and we have Google Docs open, and we will just write in the story kind of over top of each other wherever we're at. And she does like control certain characters, whereas I will control others. And we have an outline, so we know where the chapter's supposed to go. We know what's supposed to like get accomplished in this chapter, but we don't know specifics. So it actually makes the interactions and the dialogue really authentic, because I don't know what her character's going to say and she doesn't know what mine's going to say. So it ends up actually being conversations that we have in the moment in the book.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I just, as I am definitely a control freak when it comes to micromanaging my writing career. So I don't know how I would feel about someone else taking reins of certain characters. On the other hand, that gives it a chance of realism that, you know, a character for you is going to do something unexpected and vice versa. So
Yeah, I mean, you kind of get used to it because, like, for us, writing isn't just writing. We are both reading and writing a story at the same time. So, and because we started doing this at such a young age, like, we started as more of like a text-based role-playing kind of story where she would have a character and I would have a character in our fantasy world. We are so used to writing in that way. I'm not sure if I could do it with anybody else. Like, we've just grown so used to picking up where each other have like weaknesses, you know? Like, I'm really good at writing the action and writing it fast
yeah,
and
that's
being
definitely what I
they're
like.
like happening and this is happening and then this is happening, and then Kayla usually trails right behind me and she adds all the beautiful imagery of where they are and what they're doing and what the smell is like and what the, you know, the sounds are like she goes and adds like the descriptors after. So we kind of try to play into each other's strengths and help each other where we're weaker.
So, would you say that you are better or your partner is better at writing dialogue?
That's a
Uh-oh.
hard one. I mean, I'm gonna be better at writing the dialogue for my characters
Okay,
because I
okay,
know
yeah.
so well. Whereas, like, I can write things for her characters in dialogue, and sometimes she'll keep them, and sometimes she'll be like, "No, he wouldn't say that," and then she'll change it, and that's totally fine. We're very used to going in and editing each other's work, and it's kind of commonplace for us now.
Yeah, no, like for me, when I was beginning, I know my weak point was dialogue in general because I do like the action scenes, and I can, I enjoy descriptions, though sometimes that's so slow for me. I like a fast-paced story. That's just my taste. But yeah, it takes a while to kind of get
Yeah,
better at it yourself. But that's very nice to have like a someone else to kind of co-write with and help you out because I've never tried it before, but I know a lot of people who just enjoy that process, and it's always interesting to see and find
yeah,
out how everybody approaches those kind of things.
yeah. It's super fun, and it works for us. I mean, we aren't geographically close. She's in Maryland right now, so you know we've got a distance and a time difference, and uh, so doing it virtually makes sense. It's ironic because whenever she visits me
Mm-hmm.
or I see her, we always like, oh, we're gonna get so much work done, and no, we don't. We don't get anything done. We get
I
nothing.
mean, you're actually friends as well, so there is that catch up time and the socializing
Yeah, we
in
interact.
between. But
Yeah,
I used to work with a writing group, and it kind of went like that, where you got the socializing, and then you would be serious for a while, and then you'd socialize, and then get serious for a while. So it kind of ebbed and flowed with the
yeah,
progress you were trying to make. So let me ask you. So each of your books take different characters as focal points, but they're all, you said, overlapping the storyline. Does that get
yeah,
complicated to write? Because I like complex storylines in the sense that I do multiverses and large characters and try to keep all that together, and that can become a lot, at least for me. But I was just wondering, how does that work for you if you're trying to remember where's this other character that you wrote about 2 books ago, and where's their mindset during this moment?
You wouldn't believe the reference sheets we have. We have like spreadsheets that go by year, and we break it down by the week where every character is located every week of the year, so that we make sure characters are there to like cross paths when they need to cross paths, and like vice versa. So we keep track of locations, birthdays, anniversaries, everything in this spreadsheet. And we were actually just talking about how we need a spreadsheet for key pieces of information and who knows them and when they learned them and how they learned them, so that we can keep track of who knows what. But it does get very complicated, and we reference like other books quite frequently to like double check and make sure that this person didn't already know this, and that this person can get back here in time to see the other person that they need to. And it does get very complicated, but we're both very detail oriented, so we tend to thrive through the tedium, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, oh my, yeah. When I'm trying to like figure out how to create my style sheet to help organize those kind of things, each different series has kind of a different approach, which I guess God bless my beta readers and editors trying to like filter all this information, because I do give them that to help them as well. But again, each of them has a different approach, because when I'm working with a true multiverse kind of scenario, another series has the 9 realms in and around Yggdrasil, the world tree, because I'm based on Norse mythology. So I have to have descriptions of the worlds, their ecosystems, and all these kind of things, and trying to keep everything together, organized. And that obviously, and then go back to like the basic details of who has what eye color.
Yes.
And even those can get complicated at times, and you do your best. You try to jot down all this information in however way you use as a reference, but it can get complicated with some long series.
It can. It can. I mean, we have character bios for every one of our main characters, but we don't have them for the side characters. So, like, even today, we're like, wait, what does he look like? And we had to go back and look through a book and be like, well, he's got brown eyes. And then we're not changing eye color.
Yeah, I have a issue right now. I have one character. I'm writing volume 12, and I looked in my notes, and I've never noted eye color. Now, I might not have ever mentioned exactly eye color for this particular character. On the other hand, I might have and forgot to jot it down. And so I'm giving an eye color, but putting it in parentheses saying, please skim through and like check every time he's referenced in the prior 11 volumes of this series.
Yeah.
And note it then. But yeah, okay.
So how many books do you have published?
Quick math.
I know you have your 3 different series.
Yeah, I have 3 right now. I have 3 series. I have 4 in my first. I have 2 currently in my young adult. The third one I'm hoping to slip by at the end of the year, but we will see. I write very meaty, full-length books, and so it can take a while to do the whole editing process for them. So we will see. My goal is by the end of the year, that third one will come out. Sorry, my first series is complete, so it's only 4. That's my shortest series. And then right now I have 6 of my Viking series out, and I'm working now. We're finally moving to the formatting process of number 7, so that'll be coming in a few months. But it gets a little tricky since I am trying to release 2 series simultaneously, and they're very different series aimed at different readers, and so don't advise this. Stick with 1 series at a time.
Noted.
Do as I say, not as I do. Okay, so let me ask, where did this particular concept for your current series come from? And again, kind of refresh, what is the details of that? I have a comment saying only 4 books, slacker, kidding. Yes, only 4 books in that series. But anywho, but yeah, tell me how that concept came about. Did you 2 talk it over? Did one of you come up with the idea? How did that work?
Well, we actually, it's hard to explain, but we actually, like the two main characters of book one, it's Kin and Emery. And we first started writing about Kin and Emery when we were probably like 16, 17 years old. And so we wrote their whole story back then. And then when we got bored, we moved on to a new pair, which was Damien and Ray. And they're in the second series, starting with book four. And we wrote their story from when we were like 18, 19. And before we were even 20, we'd written a million words in Pantracia. Kayla had drawn a map in the beginning, and since then the map has gone through like a lot of stages, and it's in the books.
I love it.
But it's the stories were kind of born of themselves because we had to do a lot of editing, mind you. Like a 16-year-old writing a
Yeah.
book, it's very angsty and dramatic.
Yep.
So obviously the story needed a lot of polishing and rewriting, but the stories have existed for just so long. It was a decision we made just to come back and rewrite them in a format that we could share with others. And that's just been amazing because Amory's been a part of me since I was like 16 years old. And
Love
so
that.
it's really.
Well, as a part of you, do some of your characters reflect your personality traits, or are
uh,
they just bits of you in the sense that you put your love and affection, time, and dedication into them?
I mean, both, but Amory and Ray are definitely two sides of like my coin of who I am, and they each kind of have traits that I feel strongly about. They're very independent, and I've always been a little too independent, honestly. But and then Kin especially is Kayla's baby, and Kin is the morally gray character that he might be a villain, he might be a hero, we're not entirely sure. And she's always had such a love for villains that I think he reflects a lot of herself as well. And yeah, I mean, there's such a part of me, I'm sure you can see my arm,
Mhm.
but these my arm is completely for the books. Like every single one of these tattoos is actually for one of my characters, so
Oh,
like
that's
that's
so
how
cool.
ingrained they are in me.
Oh, wow. That's really beautiful, actually. That's kind of neat. I like that. I do not have that, but I do understand that part of you always goes into your characters, and there are many different ones that I write that have different aspects that I can be like, okay, this is the version of me today that I'm writing about, or this one's another version. Um, but definitely the young adult series, because it literally is my alter ego as a child when I was running around and with my sister developing that whole multiverse when we were really little. So that's why I gave her my own name. And so she literally is me, but a better version, a more magical version. Of me, the living the fantasy life that I wished. I can't speak that for all my other characters because as my series get darker and different ages, I would not necessarily want to live their lives.
Fair enough.
It all depends, but yes, no, that's really kind of neat. Okay, so when you were going through and deciding, okay, we're gonna go and publish a book, so how did you decide? I don't know. Are you exclusive through Amazon? Are you wide? How did you make that call? Did you like that call?
Well, originally we went wide, and we distributed our ebooks through Amazon and multiple retailers. And then we did our print books through Ingram Spark, which turned into a whole mess. So we actually no longer work with Ingram, and we are now exclusive to Amazon. And all our books are in Kindle Unlimited as well. But we have found the greatest success just staying with Amazon. And I'm in the process of narrating our books for audio. We've got the first two are out, but I'm still working on the third.
That's so neat. No, yeah, I'm kind of with you. I went. exclusively through Amazon for the ebooks and the print, and now that they've started to offer hardcover, that as well. But yeah, all my series right now have just signed narrators, so they're all in different stages of completion for their first books. So
Good.
hopefully audiobooks, and then we can kind of figure out how this works, because I have no idea like how to market audiobooks. Do I need to market audiobooks? Do I just sit there and let people just discover that they're there? I don't know. I'm going to figure that out. But no, I understand. I was considering trying to figure out if I should go wide with the print versions, because some people love it and some people are like, don't do it. Because Ingram is a different animal than Amazon, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I sell paperbacks all over the place, mostly in person.
Mm-hmm.
Since like at conventions and stuff, obviously people love signed copies.
Yes.
But yeah, our paperbacks online are available either directly from us or from Amazon.
Cool. Do you have like do you offer signed copies like through a website at all? Or I mean,
Yeah.
I route mine through Etsy because it's already had an Etsy for my artist side of life, and it just was easy for me. Maybe not the most structurally, it may not make sense in some ways, but that's how I do it, just because it's a nice way for people to get that chance of a signed copy. Plus, buying direct through an author always gives the author a better cut.
True. Do you find you still get a better cut even if you work through Etsy?
Well, yes, because Etsy, I mean, they don't charge much at all. So the fact that the author's copies on Amazon are, at least for me, dramatically, um, they do make a larger cut than I would if people bought those hardcovers or prints through Amazon. Obviously, ebooks, that's different. But I'm not selling ebooks. I'm selling the harder covers. So for me, it has worked that way. But again, my full length ones, which are the ones that right now are the ones in print, they're also big books. So I don't know if that helps me or not. I don't know if that changes that difference between expense versus income. But so far, that has worked for me well. So.
That's interesting because we were looking at, setting up direct sales for signed copies on our website, but it's very complicated since, Kayla would be shipping the ones in the States and I would be shipping the ones in Canada, and it got really complicated. So we kind of put that part on the back burner. People can still email us and we will send signed copies, but to have like an actual sales shop where people can go to a cart and click checkout, like we don't have that yet. So we're always looking for like better options of how to accomplish that.
I will note, at least for me, because I don't know how it works when you're creating a shop necessarily out of a different country, but for me as an American shop, obviously I have a choice to either sell just within the US or wide. And I don't know if they give you options to bracket it out to like maybe only Canada or the US, or if you are just purely wide. But they do give you that option, and you can price them differently because shipping costs differently depending on if you're
Yes.
going worldwide outside a country versus
Yes.
not. But right now, that is one thing I only sell currently in the US, just because the shipping costs for wide is a bigger hit for me, and until I can make it more feasible, I'm just keeping that particularly in the US. Just
Yeah. Well, the US
unfortunately,
has,
as an indie author, we only can do so much.
you guys can mail a book for like $2 for a book mail. If I wanted to send one book anywhere in Canada, it would be $20.
Oh,
So the
oh
shipping here
no.
really sucks.
Oh yeah, no, thank you. I
Yeah.
did not know that, but yes, when I discovered book mail, it changed my life, and I was like, oh, I can do this now. This makes so much sense. So that does help when shipping out books. I have a couple of comments popping up and says, I heard audiobooks, trying to listen at work. Oh yes. So both of us, we are trying to get into audiobooks, and she has two recorded. You have
Yes.
two? Okay, yes. And I have the first books of all three of my series in the process of being recorded. So hopefully, one, two, all three might already be debuting before the end of the year. Yay! Yes, and more. Ooh, have string of comments. Okay, different countries have different laws. It can get messy. That is very true. Um, for example, ACX is not available in the Australia and a few other countries over there. I did not know that. But
Mm-hmm.
again, that goes into the audiobook thing, which I'm still learning. So it is a haze for me. So I don't know exactly my capabilities yet. I just know step one, get it recorded.
That is step one.
That is step one. Step two and beyond, I have no idea yet. I'm trying. What are your plans when you get them out into the world? Releasing, I'm assuming you're going through ACX, or are you going through a different platform?
I am going through ACX, which is funny because I have an account as Pantracia and I have an account as myself because I'm a narrator. And so I made a contract with myself. It's really funny because I have to have like an incognito window open that's logged into one account, and then I can go back and forth and control everything. But yeah, going through ACX was the simplest method. I know it's not available in Australia. My brother's spouse is actually an author in Australia, and I'm well versed in the struggles of Australian authors, unfortunately. And I know they have Findaway Voices down there, but yeah, I decided to stick with ACX mostly because all of our ebooks are on Amazon too, and you get a much better royalty rate if
Yeah.
you sub your audiobook through ACX instead of going wide with it. So
And that's I think, one of those things that people have to understand when you are indie and you only have a small budget. There are people who probably have larger budgets. I appreciate that. But when we start out, it's going to be small. Some of us stay small for a while. I'm still there. I'll get there. But you can only do what we can is financially the best for us as we're trying to progress as authors. And most of our goals are all to be full-time authors down the line. And so
yeah,
having something like Amazon where they do give you bigger cuts and nice deals and perks as an author, it does sway a lot of people. And I I do sympathize in the sense that I wish my ebooks could be offered to people who don't just listen to Kindle. On the other hand, financially speaking, most of my money comes through Kindle Unlimited. So something like
yeah,
that does sway me. And with ACX, since it's partnership, I mean, it's intergrained with Amazon and everything, it just made sense, since I'm already using Amazon for everything else, to use that
yeah.
platform. But the dream to hit all the people.
It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah. Okay, so outside of TikTok, what other platforms are you on, if any? Do you have a you said you have a website, so what is your website? Because what I'll be doing is I'll be sharing this on YouTube later, and so people will want to know how to find you. I'll also add links.
Sure. Yeah, yeah, we have a website. It's pantracia.com. It's pantracia.com. And we also have a reader group on Facebook called The Rebel's Hearth, and we
Like
do
that.
have a Facebook page. I do have Instagram. I don't use it a whole lot. My main focus is TikTok, and I don't like Facebook is also kind of active, but it's I'm mostly active on TikTok, and it was a love-hate relationship in the beginning, but now I have come to really enjoy it, and the book talk community is so awesome. So it's really nice to be on here.
Oh, it is. I love it. And kind of like you, well, my thing is I'm always hesitant to try something new because time's precious, energy's precious,
Mm-hmm.
and so if I'm going to invest in something new, it's slow for me to just try. It really is. I'm like the last person to join.
That's
I'm
how I
like the
felt
one in
too.
the corner being like, no, but I'm with you. It's like once you got over that hump of being intimidated or worried or just trying to learn, the platform, it then gets better. Okay, so more comments are popping up. It says, I don't know what to do for a website. I'm very uncreative in that realm. I write and I narrate, but I have zero ability to make a website. So, do you use a website platform? If so, what?
We use Wix
Yes.
for our website, and I can't. Our website looks so good. It looks so good, and I'm not even bragging because I didn't do it myself.
It looks
Kayla,
small.
Kayla does our website, and she puts all the hard work into it. We're very, very close to releasing our pronunciation guide on our website as well. And I know she's gritting her teeth through the tedium of that process. And she's probably laughing right now because she's here watching.
Hey, I never thought about that, and I have some very long pronunciation guides. That's a smart thing to add. But yeah, I use Wix as well. And for anybody who doesn't know Wix, for me it's very easy because I don't know how to do true programming, and the aspect that you can easily manipulate, move things around, plop things, create a new page, duplicate things. Great thing. I found out, I really do like using it. It is a learning process like any new platform, but I find it beneficial. You can have inboxes, so mail can come through that and route that way if you don't want people emailing your personal email and stuff like that. So there are a lot of benefits. I don't know Squarespace, but yeah, Wix is what I use as well, and I've enjoyed that for both my websites, my artist and my author.
Yeah, Kayla's just commenting here. She said, "No pressure, Amanda. Thanks. I'll go work on it now." And then she said, right, "Agree. Wix is super easy and user friendly." So she definitely agrees with you there.
Yeah, it is. I do like that one. And here's the thing: if you are an author, you don't have to have a website. There are authors who use landing pages, and you can do that through some of your newsletter programs or platforms instead, especially if you don't want to invest in both. And newsletters are, I think, very essential. I'm also a person who's like, if you can afford both, do both. But I understand there are some workarounds, at least in the beginning, if you need to route people, and having what they call landing pages and using that kind of source can help.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yay, writers! The more you learn. We go to write a fantasy story, and we come out with all these other... Who knew I was going to be a programmer, a designer, a marketer?
I was just talking to my dad about that the other day, too, and I'm like, when I started this, I had no idea how much I would learn about other aspects of the publishing world. Now I am a marketer and a social media manager and an editor, and like I wear all these hats. Like writing, is such a small percentage of being an indie author. And I don't know if people realize that, looking from the outside in, how much work takes place outside of actually like typing letters in the right order.
Yes. So let me ask you, if you had an option, if someone came and offered to pick up one or more of your series, would you do it? Or do you like indie enough that you like your control and your bigger cut versus having some publishing house come in and be like, let me take your babies and go with them?
I mean, it would depend. It would depend on the offer. My instinct is like, no, it's ours. But my husband works in VFX, and I used to work in VFX, and that's how we met. So he has some pretty good connections to streaming services and producers. So one day we'd like to see it on a screen. I'm pretty sure that's probably a goal of a lot of authors, but I think like if a publishing house came and was like, hey, we want to like take your books to the next level, it would just be a matter of looking through that contract and seeing if we retain enough control to be satisfied with that. And it would obviously depend on how much you're going to pay us.
That's true too. That is true. Money can talk sometimes. Not always, but sometimes it can talk.
Sometimes.
Yeah, for me, I'm a person who I want to be, I guess, the hybrid concept of having control of certain series and keeping indie with certain ones, just because you do make a better cut and you can make sure it is the way you want. But I also wouldn't mind different series down the line being picked up and taking some of that weight off all those hats, removing a few of those hats, at least a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
You help me market. Plus, if you help market my name, they'll find my other stuff. Ooh.
Exactly. Kind of a win-win in that sense. And I have like a back burner YA fantasy book that one day I will edit. I wrote it. It's way too short, but it needs a lot of love. And one day I'd like to query that to agents instead of going the indie route with it.
Hmm.
So, one day maybe I think a hybrid lifestyle would be pretty good too.
Yeah, I do like that. Okay, comment popped up a little bit ago, going back to websites saying, I just don't know how to put one on, trying to hijack my wife into making one for me. Hey, whatever works, works.
Good plan. I would do that. Just, bribe the wife with shoulder rubs and foot rubs. It works.
There you go. Dedicate a few books to her. You never know what it takes. But
Right.
yeah, I like the whole dedication thing. Oh man, so recently I've been trying to look at my weak spots and well, it's always good to improve yourself as an author, and I don't think complacency is really good. So, if you're at a point where you're like, I'm doing okay, that's when you really should check. But I know where some of my weak spots, social media wise, are, as you were saying, Instagram, Twitter has been a weak spot for me for a while. Just cannot figure out how to work those. And started trying to listen to, I've never been a podcast listener, but I've been listening to podcasts on how to market your books on these platforms. So hopefully that will help me, because I didn't realize until last night, this is so sad, last night, that Twitter had a calendar option so you can schedule stuff like you can on these other platforms. Did not realize that.
Really?
Yeah, which would help so much, because I would like my weekends not to always be, it's 3 o'clock, I need to post things. To just be able to enjoy, a day off. It's never a day off. A day off, and not worry about some of this stuff. But calendar, didn't know till yesterday.
The things you learn, but better now than later.
Exactly. Okay, so let me see. Going back to your books, you have how many couples now that you've written? You have 10 books out right now. So how many couples in that? Are they all separate ones, or are they 3 books are with one and then we start moving to another group? I'm still trying to figure this out. This is fascinating to me.
So in the first 3 books, the couple starts out as Kin and Amory. It does flow into more of a, I don't want to say love triangle, but she does have another love interest in the first 3 books. So it just depends whether you're team Kin or team Talon. But and then we get into the second series, which is 4 books long, and we have 2 couples throughout those books, and 2 couples again in books 8 through 10. And then when we start book 11, we do get 1 new couple, and then we start seeing a lot more of the other characters from the other series return as they all start to come together in the final trilogy.
Ooh,
so
wow.
Overall, there's a potential of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 couples.
Wow. So, oh my. Okay, so all of them are within the same universe. I'm assuming same kingdom or same continent or just the same universe. How do you?
Same world. It's
okay.
They're from different countries. Usually, they're not all part of the same court.
Okay.
We do several different monarchies, different countries involved in the overarching story. So some of them, and then we jump around in time a bit. Book 7 ends on a certain year, but then book 8 actually starts 20 years earlier, because in book 8 we start telling a bit more about the grand villain story and stuff. So we jump around in time a bit. And each of the stories take place all over Pantracia. So that's why the timelines are so important, because we need to make sure the characters are present to cross paths with other characters at the right time.
So do you label chapters by year, or how do people know what year it is?
Whenever the year changes, or at the start of a book, we always put the year, and we put the season as well. So we'll do, spring, summer, fall, winter, and we'll label the season, and then we will label the year.
Okay, so a couple questions popped up. Talking about how we market our books. Well, kind of touching what we were talking about earlier. Obviously, this platform is great. Book Talk community is a great one to reach out. Personally, I try to dabble with all social media. Again, if you're a young writer, the rule of thumb is start less is more. So pick 1 to 2 social media platforms to focus on. I didn't do that approach. Regrets. But I am spread wide across different social media, so I'm found all there. I do try to be engaging as possible, though that takes time and energy. And I do run ads, or I'm trying to figure out the concept of ads. Facebook ads is what I fixate on right now. How about you? How else do you market your stuff? We were talking about the social media. You do the convention route? Is there anything else you do?
I used to do ads. We did Facebook ads for a long time. I did Amazon ads for quite a while, and I did find success with it, but it was always so fluctuating, and Amazon always just randomly would change their algorithm, and then suddenly, my clicks would just disappear or my impressions would disappear, and it felt like something that was impossible to stay ahead of the curve on, instead of, and like you always like fall behind, and you're like, okay, well, now I'm missing something and now it's not working, and I needed to re-look at like my marketing budget and where it could best be spent. And so I took off my paid advertising, and now I'm just going more of the social route and just connecting with people. And whether it's on Book Talk or in conventions, it's been more successful for me that way.
Yeah, I was kind of like, I don't remember. It was a number of years ago. I tried to do the Amazon route, and I guess at that time I was doing okay. Didn't realize it. I wasn't getting what I wanted out of it. Turned it off for a number of years. Tried to get back into it and could not figure it out because the
Yeah.
algorithms have changed. There's more competition. There are authors who do it, still love it. For me, I cannot figure it out. I am doing better with Facebook ads, but that's been a long learning curve, and it is a lot of time dedicated to always kind of tweaking them because things do change, and you have to kind of figure out the what and the why so you know how to adjust. So it is more work. There are plenty of authors like you that don't need ads and they're okay. I'm again I'm trying all the routes, and that doesn't mean I'll stick with them, but that's what I'm trying.
Well, and I mean, you kind of have to. It's good to give everything a go. I just, when I decided to really commit myself to TikTok, I decided to drop the other avenues because I only have so much time in a day. Like, I don't, like, this is my job. I am a full time author, but more importantly than that, I'm a full time mom. So I have a 3-year-old, almost 4-year-old, and he takes up a lot of my time.
You said
And
that's 2 full-time jobs right there.
yeah, so, and I mean, and then besides that, I also do like some artsy stuff with paint and resin and stuff. And I always find myself pressed for time of like where I need to prioritize my time. And I decided that throwing money at Amazon probably wasn't a good use of my time anymore. So I stopped giving them extra money, and now I just give them what they take.
Yeah, well, there you go. But yeah, no, I do like that. Again, going that nice rule of thumb. Less is more, focus on a few things, do them very well, and then you can choose to expand.
Yeah.
Again, do what I say, not as I do. But I'm trying. Okay, so going back to, I guess, when you were talking about your series, I had a couple comments. One said, was asking about your book 8. Would you qualify it as an inline prequel? Which I've never heard that term before, but I'm assuming that means a prequel just stuck in the middle, kind of catching up a little bit. Or do you? I don't know. I actually don't know that term, so I'm just assuming based on reading that. So, but would you consider it as a sort of prequel?
I mean, I would actually, because I mean, I don't know like the hard and fast definition of an inline prequel, but it is in line with the story. It just goes back and it catches the reader up on some other events. And so I guess it could be considered a prequel, except the only character who overlaps in the beginning of that book is the villain, and it shows like how he came to be in the position he is in.
Like,
And then through that trilogy, we actually catch up to the current timeline. And in book 10, we introduce characters from books 4 through 7 into book 10 as they help solve some really big problems. And that's when the timelines kind of all catch up with each other.
oh, okay. And
So
and our commenter is saying he may have made up that term. Usually prequels are separate, so being in the series is different. So that's why the question. So, but yeah, no,
yeah,
I
well
really
then I guess so. I guess that is what it is. The entire trilogy isn't a prequel trilogy though, as it does meet up with the current timeline at the end of book 9. So, and then going into book 10, it is in the current timeline. So, yes.
I like that. I think your approach for writing your world is fascinating just because it's non-traditional, which I like things that are non-traditional, but it is really kind of cool because you follow someone's story arc for so many books and then you follow another person's, but it's still interrelated, and then maybe you jump back, and no, that is pretty neat. I do like that approach.
That's good. I had some doubts along the way at one point. Should we have written this in a chronological order instead of the way we did it? Because even books 1, 2, and 3, they actually take place a little bit later in time than book 4 does. And then in book 4, we catch up to book 3's timeline, and you see events from a different character's perspective in book 6 and 7 that you do in book 3. And then by the end of book 7, you've caught up to book 3's timeline and surpassed it. So we didn't go like a straight chronological route with these stories. And sometimes I was like, did we make a mistake with doing that? Is it too complicated? Will people get it? But I think people do, actually.
Okay, I have a comment popping up saying, because joined late, what genre do you write? Referring to you.
I write epic. I don't know. Epic. I guess it's epic. It's really long. Epic high fantasy romance. So second world, swords, dragons, magic, romance.
I'm very similar to you, except I wouldn't qualify myself as a romance writer. There is romance elements in my book because in life, people fall in love,
Oh yeah.
people desire other people, etc., so on. But I definitely, that is not a main focus of my books. Mine's more the big story, the adventure,
Yeah.
etc., so on. But both are fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say romance is a higher plot point than the fantasy. The fantasy is definitely the main plot, and then the romance is like the subplot, but it's still important and adds to the story for sure.
Okay, let me ask you one more thing about your books, and then I do want to go back to the fact that you do conventions. But do you have a particular magic system that you'll focus in and around? I mean, it could be very complex. I feel like magic systems for fantasy authors, especially these long epic writers, can get complex. But how would you describe your magic system?
Well, I actually really like this question because we don't even once use the word magic in our books.
I like that. Okay.
Our system is called the art, and you
Oh,
either have access to the art or you don't have access to the art. And, different races are more in tune with the art, and we've kind of done it in a fashion where the art used to be laid over Pantracia in ley lines, and then after a sundering which broke the world, the art spread across the land in more of like a blanket.
oh, okay, that's nice.
And so like humans sometimes have access, but other races have more in tuned access to the art for sure. But it is a unique magic system, and we don't even call it magic.
Can I ask? Okay, do you call the people who use the art artists?
We actually call them artisans.
Artisans. Okay, so I'm kind of close on that one. I was just curious. I felt
Really
like it
close.
works so well. Okay, so going back to your conventions, because again, I'm personally fascinated by this. And so when you go to your convention, let me just ask, how many books do you bring? And what do you do for your display? Let me just, those basic questions.
Okay. How many books I bring largely depends on what the attendance is.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it also depends if I've been there before.
Okay.
So, and I can compare like my previous year's sales. Like when I did Vancouver Fan Expo, they are rated at a 25,000 attendance rate. And last time I was there in February, I sold 128 books or so.
Yeah.
And so after a show, I will break it down like how many of those were book one and how many were two and three and how many were the rest. And then I use those numbers to calculate how many books to bring to other shows. So then I did Calgary, and Calgary was rated at 90,000 attendees. So I take the ratios and I just apply them to how many people are coming. And generally, I order on the high side because I'd rather have too many than not enough, and books don't
Always
go
want to get
bad,
good sales.
so I will just take them to the next show. I have a show next weekend up in Kelowna, and then I have another one actually in August in Kelowna. So that will be really interesting. I don't have attendance numbers for those, but since they are smaller shows, I am just going to bring the books I've got and see what happens. And if I sell 50 books, yay. If I sell 100 books, yay. And it's just kind of ends up being whatever it is. As far as my display goes, I have a table and I have a banner that I put along the front of my table. And then behind the table, I have a vertical banner. So it's like a 6 foot tall,
Mm-hmm.
vertical, 2 foot wide banner that I display behind. And then I lay out all the books on the table, and I have like a 3 tier clear plastic shelf that like vertically displays my books, like in 3 rows.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do bookmarks as my business cards, and I usually offer free gifts for people who buy the whole series. So if you buy the whole series, I will give you like a paperback copy of our prequel novella. And then you get that free. And, you know, I usually bring like replica necklaces, like this one, like this is kind of like a brilliant key shard.
Yeah.
So I bring like little gifts like that for like people who, I mean, you can either buy it or you get it for free if you
Mm-hmm.
buy the series and stuff like that. So,
That's so cool. I'm always, again, I'm so curious about this. This enamors me. I think that's fascinating and very exciting. But, and if people weren't listening, yes, as authors, we still do math. There's so many mathematical equations that go into the science behind being an author. It is amazing.
yep. Yes, yes. It was just the other day, you know, my stepdaughter was like, "You're so lucky. You don't have to do math." And I was like, "Oh, kid."
Yes.
I hate to break it to you.
Yes, like for me, the most I do a little bit every morning. It's like one of the first things I do is my analysis of my Facebook ads. I took a course and they gave spreadsheets that kind of do different equations to help you figure out what's working, what's not, etc., where things are coming from. And so I do that every day. And I'm like, I can't get away from it. I just want to write about dragons.
I know.
I want to write about Vikings. I want to write about portal jumping to other universes. Not math.
No,
But we still do it. The things we do.
we do.
Okay, well, since we're wrapping up our hour, if anybody's viewing has any other questions, post them now. If you have anything you want to say or any questions, feel free. And then I'm so happy we got to talk. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been great. I was curious. Do you offer hardcover copies of your books?
Yes. So right now, you'll find hard copies of my full-length books, so both the Incarn Saga, my Shifter War Fantasy, and my young adult adventure Portal Fantasy, the Jed Chronicles. And starting this month, on the 15th, you'll be able to get prints of my novella collection. What I'm doing is because the Viking series is novellas and they're really short, I didn't want to have a lot of little bitties. So I'm bundling them in groupings of 4. So the first 4 will be compiled together in an omnibus version that you'll get in both paperback and hardcover. Thank you, Amazon, for finally allowing hardcover.
I haven't done it yet. The hardcover setup. Do you think it's like, does the quality make you happy?
Right now, I mean, they seem to be holding up and I like them. I was surprised because I'm so used to fantasy for whatever reason, and my head has a glossy sheen for whatever reason. That's what attracts me. It makes the colors pop more. But when I did a poll, most from people here on Book Talk, it was almost 4-1 that they like matte versions. So it is
Yeah,
interesting that my hardcovers are matte, but I'm keeping my paper covers glossy because that's how I started off and I don't want to change halfway through. So that's the way
yeah.
I'm going to do it is paperbacks are going to be glossy, hardcovers are matte. I'm sorry if that's not your taste, but I can only do one or the other. So how about you? Do
Yeah.
yours are matte or yours glossy? I cannot remember
Ours are,
which.
yeah,
Yours matte?
we did some polling in the beginning as well, and it came back very strongly to do the covers in matte. Though, from what I understand, glossy is the preference for YA. So I thought that was really interesting, but all of our covers are matte. And if we did a hardcover copy, I mean, ideally, there would be like foil and shiny spots
Yeah.
and like, you know what I mean? Like all the
A
stuff that
dust
you get when you
jacket.
have.
Amazon
I
dust
know, I
jacket,
wish,
please.
please. So, but if we did, we would go matte. And but I'm such a sucker for those beautiful covers with like the selected metallics, and
Mhm.
I wish we could do that through Amazon because that would be amazing.
Yes, and that's another thing is like if I ever did try to go, well, it's gonna be a mess. Try to go wide through Ingram Spark for the print. Obviously, then I have to like revamp how I want to package because I think their hardcovers come with dust covers. So that's a whole different
They do.
other animal that you have to
Yeah.
plan, which they look beautiful. That's a whole different design element. That means I have to go retrace my cover designers and be like, hey, come back. I need you,
hmm
which I'm about to do again because it's like every time I'm audiobooks, now I have to redesign because audiobook covers are not the same shape. So now you have to the things you learn. Things you
The
learn.
things you learn.
Well, okay, so let us know your handle. Again, I'm going to post this on YouTube probably next week with all your tags when I can find them. And so they'll have live links. But just let us know your handle here for people to follow you and do so.
My handle on TikTok is a Muratoff_author, and I'm sure that will end up written somewhere. But Muratoff is Muratoff, a Muratoff_author for TikTok.
Perfect. Thank you. And thank you for coming out and talking with me in between your writing session on Discord. I I've heard this from a number of group writers that that's the way to do it is through Discord, which is kind of cool. I only use it to play D&D. So that's my limited knowledge of that platform.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
And I will talk to you soon and let you know when this goes live.
Yeah,
Oh,
sounds good.
live, printed, published. Yeah, there. Okay.
But yes, I understand.
Nice to talk to you.